So the stretch can be pretty tough, right? Combining better blocking with really good halfback abilities this year almost makes this one play type a scheme of its own. And you'll see that just by playing a few, a handful of games online. But if you're prepared to defend it, it really doesn't need to be something to worry about. And there's 3 ways of going about this generally. One, we can complain on social media to get it nerfed. We can grind countless hours in solo challenges, or we can spend money to get better players, or we can just spend a few minutes in practice mode to find a way to defend it, or watch this video. And I feel like the last option is the least explored one. You really don't need to go out and get the best players, the best block shitters or whatever. We don't need to sulk and accept overpowered mechanics while get really frustrated and angry at the game when we're getting run down our throats. All you have to do is just take the time and develop the gameplay. I found this in over G, in Big Nickel over G, because it's my base defense, but I'm sure you could do it in any formation. Again, if you take the time. But if you don't, feel free to use these in the meantime. Big Nickel over G is in every defensive playbook, so you can just get right into it. We'll go over a few of the popular stretch formations and even toss defense at the end of the video. So let's get started with I-form close halfback stretch. So there's really 2 ways of going about this. The second way I think is a lot more specific and a lot better, but this is really a general approach that you can use against run-heavy players that it's kind of universal in a way. So what it is just cover one hole, just like this. And what you're going to do is press and run an inside shade, and we'll go into that in a little bit. But essentially what's good about this is that you have every single run lane accounted for, right? Everybody's fitting their run, everybody's aggressive down low. And then plus, you're going to be using this single high free safety here, because otherwise he's just going to drift and you're really just losing somebody. And because they're, run heavy here, you don't really need to worry about the passing game too much. Of course, if you see pass, you're going to go and lurk. But, man coverage is much better this year, and, these formations really aren't good passing formations. So then, that being said, going to the halfback stretch, again, all your run fit lanes are filled, and then plus you have 2 extra defenders that are going to be accounted for, like, the quarterback can't block, the running back can't block, so you're going to have 2 extra defenders. Whereas, say if you're running cover 2 or even cover 4 or cover 3, at least 2 of those defenders are going to be drifting back into those zones. This is going to be really one of the only defenses that gets every single player involved. And so it's going to be really, really tough. The other thing is that the reason why we press and inside shade the corners is that it allows them to get a really good shed animation on the edge. And I don't think it's ratings based, and I think it happens every time. For whatever reason, he just sheds to the edge, and then he's able to contain that. So you don't have to necessarily run out there and do that yourself. There will be somebody out there. Then as a user defender, really all you're doing is just mirroring the running back, right? Because a good halfback stretch player is not going to go look to the edge right away. He might hit the B gap if it's open, or the C gap if it's open, or the D gap, or so on. And so you're just going to look for that first opening, his first cut, and just meet him there, right? So you can just be a little bit patient, make him hesitate a little bit, make him take his time in the backfield, and then that'll just increase your chances of getting a shed. So let's go ahead and show this, and I'll go over the replay after that as well. So you see how Sherman does, and actually I was too aggressive there. I didn't need to be, but anyway, we made the stop. So onto the instant replay here. We'll go this here. We see every run lane is accounted for, and you see Sherman over here, how he gets that good shed. So if he does try to bounce it, Sherman's going to be there. The other thing is, I didn't follow my advice. I didn't need to really fill this hole here. I could have just waited, right? Because he didn't really have anywhere to cut into, right? There's no real openings. And then at the end, Sherman will be there anyway. But I could have still just not been so aggressive, right? So you just keep him down to 1 or 2 or 3 yards, and then, hopefully you can drive him off the field after a few downs, right? So that's the cover 1 approach. I think that's going to be universal, something you can kind of go back to if you're ever stumped, if they have some other crazy run that you're having trouble with. That's always something you can come back to. But something that's a little bit better handling, outside zone and stretch is this cover 4 lock palms out of the Big Nickel over G, and you'll only find it in Big Nickel over G. And of course, you should keep auto flip on all the time, right? If you don't have auto flip on and you're complaining about the run, I don't know what you're doing. So what you need to do here, and you can actually do this out of palms or quarters even, but I like it better out of this because you have this weak side safety. He comes down, and that's just one less adjustment you really need to do. So the adjustments are, you're going to shift your D line to the strength, Okay, so if you don't know this, you can just look at the one technique here, the guy that's closest to the center, and then shift him towards the other side of the line. So I'm going to shift him, and what that'll do a few things. And I'm going to have to reset this play because I touched the defender. So it's going to do a couple of things, right? So it's going to, obviously, you saw the strong side safety came down as soon as I did that. And this is something that came new with the last patch. There's a few unannounced things that were changed with Big Nickel over G. So he comes down, and you don't have to do that. He just comes down automatically, and you create an odd front here. And we know over these past few years, offensive lines just have a little bit more difficulty blocking odd fronts for whatever reason. Anyway, so that's the one adjustment you're going to do is just shift your line over to the strong side. The other thing you're going to do is contain your defensive ends. Okay, so this will allow our defensive end to just shoot into the backfield, just explode into there and just get the running back down for a loss. The other thing we're going to do is press our slot defender. Okay, and what we're going to do is individual, the slot, the tight end, and down on the right stick, and he's going to come down. The reason why I wouldn't press globally is because that strong safety that came down would come back up. So that's why we kind of have to do it individually. And then as a user, just pick one of these guys, likely a 3-receiver hook here, and you don't even have to do anything, right? Because just wait, because we're going to talk about defending the weak side after this. So we're just going to let it run, and you'll see the defensive end just explode into the backfield there for an easy loss. And this isn't something that's ratings-based, something that's, RNG based. It's just going to happen every single time, and this is going to happen in a lot of different formations, and we'll get into that. You just need to set it up as it is and then worry about some of the other runs, and so that's going to happen every single time. So now what we really need to do is start to worry about the weak side, because if they flip it to the weak side, they have one less blocker, but we also have one less defender over there. Okay, so it doesn't work as nicely in terms of getting the defensive end to explode into the backfield, but it's still decent. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same adjustment because, right, we don't know if they're going to the strong side or the weak side. Shift our line over, contain, press this guy, and we could run it like this, or what we could do, we can press the other guy again. It's going to have to be individually, and we can shade him inside, right? Because we saw it before. He gets that nice edge animation, so he can help contain that a little bit. And this guy will explode into the backfield instead of the end. And as a user, we just need to kind of, again, just be a little bit safe, look to plug the first hole. We don't need to be super aggressive, and just let it be. Okay, so this one isn't as great, but see, he kind of goes into the backfield there, and then usually you'll have some other guys to clean up from there. Okay, single back deuce close, right? Half back stretch. We're going over here. I'm shifting my line, containing. I'm pressing on the end to get that last guy. I could even, if I want to be crazy, I could even press down here. Well, that kind of creates a weird look. You really don't have to. And then the end's just going to explode into the backfield again. And even this guy, you're going to have two guys there ready to make a tackle for a loss. I form tight, exact same thing, exact same setup. The stretch goes to the strong side. The end explodes into the backfield. He's ready to make a play there for an easy tackle for a loss. And even on the weak side, we can go and press this guy if we want. Just like that. They can run it to the weak side, and we are solid there as well. Guy comes right off the edge and gets another tackle for a loss. And they can, shift the fullback over in a strong formation, but again, it doesn't really change things. We're going to explode into the backfield. Easy tackle for a loss yet again. Now, like I was saying, it's not going to work against every single stretch formation. It's going to be working against the more popular ones, the I forms and stuff like that. But in this single back where you have like 3 tight ends here, as you saw, as I shifted the line, the safety kind of stayed up there. And we can bring them down, but, if we don't want to mess around with that in such a short play window, we could leave them up there. And we're still pretty sound because even though these safeties are coming from depth, they still do a really good job in terms of forcing that stretch inside. And so, although we're probably not going to get a tackle for a loss, it's still pretty easy to come and track that down. So that's the stretch. The bonus tip I wanted to give you here is defending the sweep or the toss out of the single back bunch. Now, this isn't a particularly great run play, but you actually see it enough online, quite a bit online, that it's just something that I wanted to just get down and not have to worry about. And in this case, actually, things are even easier. Actually, what I would do is I would just call regular cover 4 palms because it's a little bit more sound in terms of covering the bunch. But either one will work in terms of covering the toss. All you need to do is just show blitz, and then that end is going to be unblocked, and he's going to get, 5-yard tackle for a loss. Easy stuff. So that's it, guys. Again, maybe I probably didn't cover every single stretch formation, every single different variation of that in terms of motioning guys out or whatever, but I think this is going to be a really good base for you, and at least take out that possibilities for a lot of basic guys that are just running that stretch or whatever off of that. Or even for the better players, take the stretch out of the equation, make them run it up the middle where you still have decent numbers, or make them pass, which they don't have really poor pass plays out of that formation. So that's that. Again, you don't need to go out and get the best players. You don't need to go complain to the developers to nerf the run or whatever. It's just about taking the time and making it work, right? This is what I do in terms of I'm playing games. I notice what's bugging me, what things are tough to stop, and I'll just take the time quickly. This took 15-20 minutes. Figure out how to line your guys. You don't even need great linebackers. I just have I'm playing salary cap. I just have some gold guys there. And it all does a great job. Okay, just find a way to get your guys in the right position and you're going to be good. Or, again, just come back to my videos because I'll be sharing this stuff with you guys, the good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I could share you guys, but I think what I'm just trying to do is do videos on things that will immediately help you guys out. And I see stretch is a big issue, and I think this is going to be that for you. Okay, so that's it for this video, guys. Again, look for that cover 1 if you're coming up against something else that's kind of tough, that isn't maybe the stretch, if maybe it's some weird inside zone or something, that's always going to be there for you. Otherwise, the stretch, 4 lock palms, those adjustments is going to lock it down. You're going to be a lot happier playing this game. Yeah, okay, so that's it for this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.